welcome back. We are moving into our third and final segment on this lovely Thursday morning. World Festival of Youth and Students. Now, what is it about? We've got these folks in to tell us more about it. In with us is Erwin Willis, former Student Council President of SJC, JC, and UB. And of course, Angeles Itzab, Belize Youth Movement Representative, and Gabriel Na, Director, Seed of Change. Guys, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Very exciting. You guys are going to be part of the delegation heading to the World Festival of Youth and Students.
Wow.
Now, I want to start off by finding out more about the World Festival itself and how you became acquainted with this opportunity. All right? Let's start here.
Oh, okay. Well, the World Festival of Youth and Students is this festival that happens like every 4 or 5 years. It's not a festival that happens yearly. And it's an international festival that is rotated throughout the world by different host countries. And the purpose of it is to bring together students and youths and people who are looking to make a change to join and to share their ideas and to learn more about how to be leaders.
Yeah.
And more on to I guess change the places that they're from.
Yeah.
It started off as a anti-imperialist movement in like the 80s, the 70s then, and then as it progressed on, it continued shifting, and then it started becoming a much larger and more important festival, and then countries started joining in, and all the countries that attend all share the same ideas and the goals that they want to change the way that the world looks at the different countries, because each country has its own way of working, its own government and all of that, and this is to unite those different views, to bring together all these different views and to show that people can work together despite their differences and where they come from.
So you're looking at a gathering of close to 20,000 young people. That's a lot of people.
Yes.
And within that 20,000, Belize will have 9 young people. How did you, first of all, how did you get the opportunity to go? Did you have to apply? And what prompted you to do so?
Well, there was an application process and the deadline was in June 10th. And I guess all of us here, we got the opportunity through Ms. Sharissa Perez. She is the head of our delegation, and she's the one that actually was recruiting people through social media. And she was encouraging everyone to try to apply if you thought that you could be a good representative for Belize. So there was an application process that ended on June 10th, as I mentioned, and then around August, the selection process actually happened, and I think we had over 20 applicants, but only 9 of us were selected, so we didn't get our acceptance letter until early August around. So we were very excited when we got the letters. And as you can see, it's a very diverse group. We have representation from Seeds of Change. We have political representation through BYM. I'm also actually representing also the UWG, which is the women's group from the People's United Party. And then we have Mr. Erwin here representing as well.
Chess and the Belize National Youth Chess Federation.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Yes.
How difficult was the application process?
Well, for me, it wasn't that difficult, but I still had doubts. Like a slight correction. I'm not the student body president. That was my colleague who couldn't make it today. Yeah. So I'm a former youth ambassador, Central American youth ambassador, and I'm very involved with chess in the community. So I host multiple chess clubs in Belmopan, and so we had to write like the selection process. We all had to write like how involved we are. Like what all we have done. So we have to like sell ourselves to get selected.
You had to be young people who were already contributing to the society. And obviously just by the introduction and the descriptions of yourselves, we know that you're very involved young people. Now, why did you personally want to participate in the festival? What do you hope that it will contribute to the work that you do or to the person, the adult that you're becoming?
Well, me personally, because the festival is based around the United Nations Development Goals, so it's a continuation from the previous Millennium Goals that we had. So that's supposed to end in 2030. So for me, one of those goals is to end world poverty, and especially here in Belize, like we have a lot of poverty that we could work on. So my goal there is to focus on that one goal and to help bring back to my community specifically ways we can implement new strategies to end poverty here in Belize. So start from here, and then from here, if Belize becomes an example, other world countries could use us. Could use the tactics we learned there at the festival.
Yes, I think this festival is going to contribute to us in a very professional level. Like Mr. Erwin here, he mentioned, we had the Millennium Goals, which we signed on to as part of the United Nations, and this was supposed to be accomplished by 2015. And those were 8 goals, and Belize couldn't meet those 8 goals, as we all know. Now we have the Sustainable Development Goals, and that is supposed to be met by 2030. Now, the World Festival of Youth and Students, as we know, has been happening since 1947, and this is the first time that Belize is going to have a delegation there. So that we are hoping that we can get there and we can gather as much knowledge, and we can use our organizations and our mediums to actually advocate for these goals to be met by said time. I mean, it's a very overwhelming experience because the experience has started from now. I mean, we have chat groups and with all the Caribbean delegates, and I guess it's very overwhelming, as it's always. I mean, we're a very small country, but I think it's an eye opener because being a developing country, as other Caribbean countries are also developing, but we can see that Belize is on a totally different level from the Caribbean in fact. So we have a lot of work to do, and we're hoping that this opportunity can actually open the eyes of not only young people, but actually the government and other non-governmental agencies, because we haven't been having much support in terms of financing. We have to finance our way to Russia, because the festival itself is only going to be covering accommodation, meals for throughout the festival.
So they take care of you once you're there.
Yes,
Yeah.
But you have to make the money to
yes,
buy those
we have.
tickets.
So the Belizean delegation is actually very fortunate because we landed a spot on a charter flight from Cuba to Russia. So we didn't have to worry about the cost to Russia, which would have been a little over 3,000 US per person.
And it's 9 of you.
Yes, it's 9 of us.
But now you just have to get to
Go to
Cuba.
Cuba.
No, we just have to get to Cuba. So I think that is the primary thing that we have to work on as a country, that we need to be supportive of our youth, especially when it comes to these things of international representation.
Yeah.
We've been asking and advocating through the Department of Youth Services, and we haven't really been gotten youth. I mean, I've been fortunate enough. The UWG to me has been very supportive, and they've helped me out throughout this journey. So I'm grateful for that, but not everyone is that fortunate.
Yeah.
So I guess we have to work on that as well.
Oh, okay. Well, the reason why I really have an interest towards this is a little bit personal, but also for my group. Because while my colleagues mentioned that this focuses on the development goals, and as the director of Seeds of Change, our main reason why we kind of started this is because we want to start working towards those development goals and achieving them, and working on the several different SDGs that they have that we need to get by 2030. And I think this experience would really teach me on how to help out achieving those goals, and I think I could bring that back so I could spread it among my group, and then we could spread it out throughout the community and throughout the country, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then that way we all end up accomplishing it. And I think that it's a very nice experience. You really feel like you're part of the international community, especially with the group chat that we have.
Yeah.
Like with this entire Hurricane Irma that's been happening, we've been having people messaging, oh, what's going on? And like people are telling us, oh, this is how our country is right now. And you feel like some kind of connection to these people, even though you've never met them. And I feel that being part of these international events really helps put Belize on the map and helps us with diplomatic relations in any sense. Because I guess if we're going to represent a small country that people don't really know, especially on that side of the world, I mean, that would be a big deal for Belize, and a lot of people would start being acquainted about our country, our culture, our heritage, everything about us. And I think that's something that I want for Belize to be out there more than it is, because a lot of people don't really know Belize where it is and these things. And I think that in being a country that could also be a leader to the Caribbean community, I think that's really something that's worthwhile.
You know, I want to extend the biggest congratulations to you guys. Firstly, secondly, what a way to start. Now, when it comes to the other 6 people that will be heading out with you, are we familiar with each other? To say that, you know, we came out of one group, and of course we're so familiar with each other. What is that process like for you, knowing that, you know what, we're about to venture off into something that could eventually start something big in our country?
Well, for me, when I spoke to Sharissa, I personally haven't met her yet, but she invited me to apply online. So after I applied, I met up with her first. So we got acquainted, and then we spoke about the event and what's not. And then afterwards, I realized that she started adding more and more people to the group chat. I was like, who are these people? Then I realized like there's a whole bunch of other Belizeans as well, and they're from all over the country except the South. We couldn't get anyone from the South. But they're from Corozal, Orange Walk, Belize, Cayo, and so I personally have never met any of them before, but recently we organized a group meetup so we can talk about the trip and everything and acquaint ourselves with each other. And I enjoyed the meetup. Like, I enjoyed everyone. So.
Now, what is your target for the money that you have to raise to get to Cuba?
Right now, our target is around $1,000 per person because, as we said, we have to finance our trip to Cuba, and we're going to be flying through Cancun. So we have to finance from here to Cancun as well. We have to pay for the visas, and we also have to pay, I think, a departure tax that we're going to be paying.
So $1,000 US per person?
No, 1,000 Belize, I believe.
So you're looking at $9,000 for the entire group?
Yes.
Okay. And how have the fundraising efforts been going so far?
So far, we started a raffle that we're going to be doing in September.
Okay.
And also, well, we had a bit of a mishap because the organization wanted us to buy our tickets before September began because they have to know who all are going so that they can accommodate us. So that had to come out of pocket for most of us. So right now we're fundraising to cover the rest of the expenses and maybe to put back that money that we've spent.
Okay.
So the 9 is sure to go so far?
Yes.
Oh.
Now, let me ask, because I think we are in a time and age in Belize where there's a lot of skepticism. Some people say there's a lot of hopelessness, and oftentimes we hear the call, well, where are the young people, you know, and that the young people perhaps are not engaged, or many that we've spoken to right here on the show have said, you know, they're looking for opportunities to leave and to further themselves there. What is your commitment if you travel to Russia, represent your country, yourself, at this particular international event? What do you hope you can bring back to Belize to make it a better country overall, but also a better country for young people?
Well, me personally, I feel leadership skills. Like once we get out there, we get exposed, so we know how other people from the countries react.
Yeah.
I personally study anthropology and sociology, so I plan to stay here in Belize. I don't plan to leave. So once I finish my bachelor's degree, I plan to work with either the Ministry of Human Development or any other organization, be it NGO, that works with people. So I'm using all these trips outside the country to get exposed and to like see through the eyes of other countries how they do things, because I feel like Belize, we're limited to a bubble here, so we're small. So once we get out there, we get to see how other things work, and then maybe try them here. And if they don't work, we'll try another country's method.
I think it's important to note also that the World Festival of Youth and Students will not only take place in Sochi, but will be distributed throughout Russia in their regional program. It will not only focus on one specific thing. They have also asked the participants to choose an area that they would like to focus, whether it be culture, cinema, whether it be policy, international relations, and things like that. So all of us have chosen, we decided to choose at least some different groups so that we can bring back to the country different perspectives.
Nice.
I'm currently pursuing my bachelor's degree in public sector management, so I decided to focus on the economic development part and the youth policy section of the program. So my hope is to actually improve the public sector when it comes to development of a youth policy, because we don't really have a youth policy. As Marlene mentioned, you don't see the youth involved mainly because there isn't a support. Like I've mentioned before, our delegation hasn't been getting much support from nobody. In fact, we're doing most of the promoting ourselves. As you know, Erwin, we decided to dub him our PR representatives because he's the one landing us the spaces on the morning shows and everything. So I think that is the primary thing that we have to work on. We need to give support in order to receive some sort of participation.
To me, I believe that this opportunity really will, as I guess my colleagues have both mentioned somehow in their thing, the youths don't feel like they're involved. They don't feel like they have the opportunities given to them for them to further themselves. And I think I've become acquainted with a bunch of, I guess, young people who think that way, that think that there's no opportunity for them. And I think given this opportunity, it kind of gives them hope, and it shows them that if you try hard enough, you can actually get somewhere and actually do something. And there are the opportunities, you just need to seek them. And I think in going to this, I can bring back my experience and just share that among the people and show them that, hey, there are things that you can do. There are places you can go and experiences you can have. And through these experiences, you learn how to, I guess, battle certain situations and come across certain gaps. And I think that in bringing what I learned back, we can share that with the youth that are here and don't have the opportunity to leave and to go to other places. And I personally feel that I think that the youths can mostly be impacted by other youth, because then that's relatable to them. That's where they feel the most comfortable with, because if they see adults leaving, they don't really see that as an opportunity they can get. But with us, as all of us being young people, through different parts of the country, it's not like we all just were part of one group who got the opportunity. It shows them that no matter where you are, no matter what you do, you can have the opportunity of a lifetime to go somewhere and to bring back something that you can work on your country. It doesn't mean that we're gonna be leaving. It means we're going there to bring back the experience to work here.
To equip yourselves more.
Erwin, you mentioned something very important, actually the word exposed. And true exposure is where you actually bring back a lot, so you could eventually share with your colleagues, and of course make your country even better. Now, we also mentioned that this World Festival of Youth and Students happens every 5 years. Now, there'll be a lot of students or a lot of people who would want to get themselves, because it's very important to be exposed. How do one put themselves in the position to be appointed after filling out that application to eventually be able to catch a festival? And I'm saying this because it's very important, and people will be able or want to go out as well. How do you put yourself in a position to get selected?
Well, I feel like it's more than just wanting it.
Yeah.
You need to search for it. You need to show people that, oh, you're there. If there's anyone that's gonna get it, it's you. So you need to be active. You need to be proactive first, because even before I personally knew this festival existed, I was out there, and it wasn't because of this festival. But knowing this festival exists now, it pushes me to do more.
That's where
things.
I was coming from.
Because I know besides this, there'll be more opportunities besides this.
Yeah.
So you just gotta be proactive. Don't wait for opportunities to come, then try to work quick to jump on the train. Because I know a few students who are too young to apply for this festival, but they themselves are already active, and they already expressed interest in the next 4 years, next 4 to 5 years, when they're old enough that they'll want to apply. So they'll keep working towards that goal.
Well, it is so refreshing to hear from young people
Definitely.
who are contributing to our society already. And I have to say that much because it's not always a situation where you're in the forefront. We do get to have conversations here on the show very often with active young people, and we appreciate what you're doing and that you are looking to further your exposure as well to be able to contribute back to the country. And as you pointed out very clearly, you can only do so with the help of others. So how do people get in touch if they want to assist in your fundraising efforts?
I think they can contact our PR representative or head of delegation, Ms. Charissa Perez.
Okay.
We also have a Facebook page.
Yes.
It's called Belizeans Across Borders.
Wow.
And we decided to create this page because we've noticed that not only us, but we have several other young people that personally and independently choose to apply to other programs such as conferences or anything. So we decided to create a platform to showcase these young people. So we're going to be the first ones to be showcased on the page, but we plan to use it to showcase others. So you can contact us via that page as well. And
Belizeans
across borders. Yes.
Well, we wish you the best of luck in being able to get the funds. But most importantly, we hope that you are able to make the most of the experience, enjoy yourselves as well. It's a great networking opportunity with what will eventually be the next generation of global leaders.
Yes.
So do it, make the most of the experience, and we look forward to hearing more from you as you return. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. We're going to go ahead now and take our final break, and when we come back, we'll have our wrap up, so stay tuned.